Hello everyone, it is Christine here and I'm back to share a Stitchery swap square that I have created for the lovely Melinda. So the Stitchery swap is part of the Great Big Little Stitchery swap that is being hosted by the lovely Annie Claxton from Arty Farty Annie. I will link to her in the description below. So a little bit about Melinda. Now, you've probably seen the fabulous square that she sent me, and this is the square that I'm going to be sending back to her. So Melinda loves purples. She also loves greens. She loves mystery and magic. She's a clairvoyant and medium, and she's very spiritual. So I wanted to create something that had that sort of a feel about it. I decided on the purples as my colour. I seem to be in a bit of a purple vibe for the squares that I've been making recently. The last few have had, some purple in them. You might get to see these videos in different order though, because some are going overseas and some are going locally. But I've been, reaching into my purple stash. So I picked out a fabric which Melinda had actually commented on when I'd bought it secondhand. This was from the Sewing Layer, I'm pretty sure, by the size of it. The ones I get from Purveyor of Reclaimed Textiles, they tend to be a bit smaller, but this is a large piece of it. I don't think it's got a full name on it. It's just got hashtag TG-18ZAZU. But I don't think we have a name, but it's a fabulous design. It's like little hanging lights, but then with these really brilliant purple flowers, and then a orange slash sort of somewhere between orange and fuchsia, but more orange than fuchsia actually, even though on camera maybe it looks a bit more fuchsia. So I've used that, and I mostly took one of the large flower elements and then took some little of the daisy elements at the base, and then it's just got a few of those little flashes of the orangey pinky colour. And then we'll get to the back a bit later actually. Let's talk first about what I did on the front. So I had some fun using little beads. Let me see if I can see my little beads. These ones, which are glass seed beads from Mill Hill, product of Japan, and they're 02025. But I got most of my beads secondhand from a lady that was finishing up all her beading. So I've got her entire beading supply. So I don't know how old these ones actually are, whether that would be the same number. But they're a beautiful purples, greeny, bluey, goldy. They're the ones that sort of have multiple pearlescent colours on them. So I have used those ones up the top. I'm not sure how much closer I'll be able to come and have the camera still sort of focus in on everything, so I'll leave it probably sitting down there. But I just picked out where the flower design actually had little stamens with little stamen heads on it. I don't actually know what they're called. I think it was it Leanne that bought herself a flower book recently that has all the different sort of flower parts, so she can talk about them with a bit more a bit more education than I am. So that's Leanne from Leanne's Crafty Cupboard. I'm pretty sure that's who I remember saying she brought herself a book on flowers when she was out in the regional area recently. Just added those in the different spots where there were those stamens. I then used some of this beautiful bridal beaded fabric. I've got it sitting on a further background piece which has purple flowers on it. But aren't they just glorious? They're so lovely. There's pearls, and then there's tiny beads. There's little rectangular beads, larger rectangles, little flowers, and all just, and massive, like quite long stretches. So I used one of those down here and left one of the little rectangles on it. But then I've actually gone and on the back, and you won't be able to see it because it's sitting on the pocket section, I've stitched every single bead down to make sure that it won't move, because the risk with these is if they get one little thread cut, they might all sort of unwind. So basically I pass through, stitch down, pass through, stitch down every single bead on here multiple times. So it's really sturdily attached, particularly because it is on a pocket. I wanted to make sure that it was really going to hang on. I also then added a little stitched around following the design that was down here for this daisy, or I guess it could be a chrysanthemum or something else. So I did little French knots in the middle. And I've actually just given it an iron because I wanted to make sure everything was all sort of sitting flat, but it's actually sort of, yeah, the French knots have flattened down a little bit. They were done in the beautiful razzle variegated purple that I just adore, and that's why you get that nice colour variation. And so I just did detached lazy daisy stitches following the outline and just, yeah, stitched those down at the outer edges. Also did 1 or 2 little stitches at the side where it needed it, and then just added some little accent mark making stitches with that same thread. So that is the pocket section, which I then cut around. And I actually did this before I added the elements, cut around it and then used that razzle thread to overstitch all along the edge to make a pocket. And then I used a backing piece, and it is a very vibrant, beautiful, sorry I'm just reaching down to grab it, a vibrant, beautiful fabric. So it's this one, which has these brilliant green and purple birds on it. So I thought that was right up Melinda's colour alleyway, and it does look quite magical with those birds. So yeah, used that as the backing piece, which we'll get to have a look at in a moment. So I'll show you my pocket. So with the pocket, I backed this section and did this before I did the overstitching along the edge with just some interfacing. So just an iron-on interfacing, which makes it a bit sturdier, and also means when you stitch it, it's nice and stable. So that's a beautiful little pocket down there. And then in our pocket, pull out the first of the things. I made a little hexagon hanging piece with beautiful purples and greens on it. Some of them you would recognise as the fabric. So this one is from one of the flowers. And this fabric is the same fabric that I have used on the back. And this one's from that little bird fabric that I showed you just now. And this one here is from the fabric that you can see sitting in the background behind the piece. And then this is another take in the green of that same colourway of fabric. So that's the little hexagon, and backed it with this beautiful purple and vibrant floral Japanese style fabric that you might have seen in some of my other squares, and that's all just stitched around the edge to hold it sturdy, and it's also got some interfacing in there just to give it a bit more structure. I put just a little thread hanger, thinking that Melinda can then choose if she wants to just hang it up somewhere in her craft room or elsewhere to bring her some cheer. And then also made a little sweet little floral vintage style little fold out sort of booklet. So it's got, this is from the Kathy Holden fabric. I think it's called Kathy Holden Junk Journal. Let me see if I've still got the selvage on it. I don't know if I do. I've been shopping into this one, so yes, I do. There we go. It's Moda Fabrics, Kathy Holden's Junk Journal, Moda Fabric Supplies 100% cotton, stock 7410. And as you can see, it's got all sorts of lovely little vintage designs on it. And so I've been gradually eating away at that, little morsels, as Corinne would say. And I just used a piece of that here, put a little button on the other side, and I've made just a little fold out. Little fun bit. So use then a lovely piece of lace here, which nicely pokes out here. Put my little Love CO and stitch that down. There's little French knots holding that little panel to the front panel. Again, I put a bit of interfacing in just to give it a bit more structure. And then, yeah, there's a button sewn here as well, which then helps to close this little book, which is just closed with a piece of crochet thread. So I thought that's really lovely. This one was a bit too long, obviously, to include in its full length, so that's why I folded it over here. So you've got the front and then the back, and then it just opens up to reveal its secret little message. So I thought that was fun and that was sweet. And I think I think Melinda also likes fuchsias and pinks as well. So I think that will go quite nicely with the piece, and I think it colour coordinates. That's almost a purpley colour there. So they both go in the pockets. But yeah, that's the pocket in there with the beautiful colourful green and purple bird in there. So a nice bird flying free, which I know will be beautiful imagery for Melinda to have. So I like to just have those little things. You can just see that little flash of the bird there, and then you peek in and you see your little birdie friend flying free, and that's just a free-form pocket. So when I stitched it on, I just did little holding stitches all the way around, which again just add a nice little visual dimension, and then I just did a little running stitch to hold this piece down here. And as I mentioned, all the beads are all double stitched on, and I did all of that stitching on an initial layer of interfacing, and then I put another layer of interfacing over the stitches, which you can see there. So that just means nothing's going to catch when there are things sliding in and out of the pockets. So there you go. And actually this one I think sits quite nicely, so that you just see the little button poking out. So that is the little pocket. Not too much stitching on the back because virtually everything was stitched on the front, so it was really just stitching the pocket down and stitching that other piece of fabric down. As the pocket got stitched down, the other piece of underlying fabric got done, so didn't have to do double stitches for that. But yeah, I think it's a really fun and does have that magical sense about it, and got the beautiful purples. Yeah, really happy with this piece, and I'll be sending Melinda just a couple of other lovely little bits and pieces as well, but I'll leave those as a surprise for Melinda to find. But you won't be seeing this video anyway until Melinda has received her package, but I will be sending her some of this beautiful beaded fabric because I think she'll really enjoy that, and a few other goodies. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Hope you're having lots of lovely crafty time. Bye everyone.